Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. And there would be those who would say the transition is too smooth. That it's the man pretending in the chair yet again for his group. And if that is what you think, dear human being, then that is what you think. And there is nothing here in the room that is going to push and pull or persuade. For the human being and their free choice is honored above all things. There are many ways to discover the divinity inside. One of them is this way. By understanding that these messages could be significant, they come from the other side of the veil. They are angelic, if you can even define that. If you were to ask human beings if they would believe in a higher source, they would say yes. If you ask a human being what form that would take, they would be varied in their answers. And some of them would say that channeling is appropriate, and some would say it is not. And the ones who would say it is not, however, would go into the forest and take the hand of a tree and feel God inside. And there is no difference. Blessed is the human being who finds their divinity and the solace and the peace that they need in any way that suits them. And so it is not something that is presented for belief or for enjoyment. It is here to soothe that which needs to be soothed, to instruct that which needs to be instructed, to shake hands with a countenance that is divine within you. That is the purpose of the channeling of Kryon, of sitting in the chair. And before we begin the questions, I have only one thing to say. There is a connection between what you see outside, already know what is formulating in the consciousness of the potentials of the 11 who sit in the chair. It is not mind reading. For there is part of you which is an entangled state with all, that is to say, all is known. Not what you're going to do, but the potentials of what you might, based upon what is happening in your life, based upon what it is you bring to the table, as he say. We know the issues of the moment. And every single one of you who sits in the chair, you are not a mystery to us. There's great love for every puzzle that sits in the chair. Question, please.
Hi, Kryon. What can you tell us about new human race which was designed recently?
The new human race. The seeds are sitting in front of me. Don't you understand that? Do you not understand your lineage? Let me tell you something that the ancestors would love to tell you. First of all, you have their face. If you see a group of indigenous honoring the elders which have passed, I would like to tell you what they're doing. They're honoring the wisdom of themselves. That it can be passed. Why would they honor elders which are gone that had wisdom which is then gone? It isn't gone. Why isn't it gone? Because the ones who are doing the honoring have received it, not just through the stories. But it passes. The mantle, this is scriptural, the mantle of energy that belongs to the elder. That's Akashic inheritance. The new human race is you. Less than 0.5% of the humans on the planet now have to plant these seeds of passionate compassion, of one who is tolerant in all situations, who sees the glory of Gaia and feels that which is divine, which is slow to anger and will never send their children to war. This is the new human race. And the seeds are here. You are not only your ancestors. Akashic inheritance will create the future. Who are you going to be, dear one? And I sit here in a timeless state with the potentials of who is going to be. I can see the country's inheritance will create the future. Who are you going to be, dear one? And I sit here in a timeless state with the potentials of who is going to be. I can see the countries that are going to arise, not because I can tell the fortune, but because I can see the propensities and the potentials working. And I can tell you that who you're going to be is going to be profound. There'll come a day when you look back, and these days you'll call the age of barbarism. You think you're in a modern society? You're not. Ask a Pleiadian what they went through, and they'll tell you you're right on track, and they'll also tell you what's next. In the face of horror, bad news, doom and gloom, predictions, suffering, I have given you news that flies in the face of all of it. And I will tell you, all you have to do is look back 50 or 60 years to the way the earth used to be and compare it to today. You didn't have your next world war that you should have had. There's all manner of things that you're putting together instead of tearing apart, but you don't live long enough to feel it. Only history will show you I'm right. Already I'm right. Give another 50 and you'll really see it. That's the answer. It's you. Another question?
Dear Kryon, it's been a while since you talk about the... Dear Kryon, it's been a while since you talk about the Jews and about Israel and the Middle East. What information you would like to share with us? What potential you can see?
Again, ask, please.
I'm asking about the Jews and about Israel. It's been a while since you talk about that, and it's an open question.
Oh, I would ask you even to ask it a third time, because that's biblical, but I won't put you through it. Is this not the crux of everything? Did I not say 20 years ago, as go the Jews, go earth? And I will give you the answer yet again. The joke was the repeat. If I'd had you do it 3 times, asking about his own. The Jews will not be able to put this together, dear one, and you know that. And neither will the West, and you know that. What's going to happen in the Middle East eventually, as we see it, and the potentials are already rolling for it, is that it will be done from an Islamic country, whose young people will rise up and decide that they wish to clean up the Middle East, and they're going to start by not believing what their parents have told them. And they're going to stop hating just because they're told to hate, or what happened 100 years ago or 1,000. or even 2,000. And they're going to hold out their hand in a way that Israel cannot say no. That's what we see. It's against all odds. It's against everything that's happening. Against everything that your news will tell you, or anybody in your country, or your leadership. My partner asked me, he said, will I be here to see it? And I said, of course. And he was smiling so happy until I told him he'd be another race. How long is it going to take? Longer than you want. It's generational. When you walked in the desert, what was the message? For 40 years you walked in the desert. What was the message? Israeli? You know what it was? When you walked in the desert, what was the message? For 40 years you walked in the desert. What was the message? Israeli? You know what it was? You can't take the consciousness of slaves and put them in the promised land. So what had to happen? They had to die out. You may have a whole generation that's needed for those who would teach what your parents told you to disappear. And tell those like you who would tell your children to be tolerant and not teach them the ugly history facts. It's going to take a while. But I'll tell you this. I see the potentials and it is in progress. Thank you. Is there another?
Hello, Kryon. I'd like to know what kind of planetary shift and how it will occur.
1987, you had the harmonic convergence. What did you feel? Good for a day? You just celebrated for a day? The 11/11, significant. Very significant. And then did you go home and when you arrived, everything was different? No. Now, from then to today, have you seen any changes? It took a while for you to say yes, because the time needed to go by. You have the same thing in the Lemurian signal. A while for you to say yes, because the time needed to go by. You have the same thing in the Lemurian signal. It's an activation marker. And it does many things. Some of them not to be disclosed until 21 December. And I'll be there to disclose them. But I've already told you, it's a two-way signal. Number one, you've said we arrived and we made it. We're starting to put things together instead of tearing them apart. We see the evolution of consciousness. We're starting to understand that we have a spiritual complement. Even in your religions, it is acknowledged that you are part of God. It's one of the masters said, I am the Son of God, and so are you. When Muhammad walked into the cave and met the angel, the only reason he could talk to the angel face to face without vanishing and burning up is because they had an alliance. There was divinity in both of them. Every master. Moses talked to the burning bush. We should stop calling it a burning bush. It had a name. It was angelic. That's what interdimensional energy looks like to a human being. a seeming fire that does not consume itself. It was an angelic entity named Kryon. Did you know that? I've been around a long time. And the master he was, and what he did, set the mold for the ones to follow and the ones before. So what am I saying? Time. So the marker will be set. Energies will be exchanged that will then change what we would call the formula for what comes next. 18 more years you have of this alignment to plant seeds like a farmer plants them at the right season. Before that comes which he knows will let them grow. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Now that carried an 11 energy all over it. And yet you were 10. How did that happen? I think you wanted to sit in the last chair. Number 11. Question, please.
My question would be one thing, but I've decided I want to ask a different one.
How odd.
We are told to speak in conscious language and say what we mean when we speak it. But so many of us are still learning how. Is there an easy or a shortcut to do this?
10 in numerological terms is a 1. There's new beginnings in your life. It's already starting. I think you understand what I'm saying, dear. I don't know if you're aware of it. And you're asking questions that are important. How do you carry around mastery when everybody around you is an idiot? They're not, but this is how it seems. When you walk into old energy and you see mistakes and mistakes and mistakes, when you wish to speak a truth and not sound like you're scolding, or that you know better, or that you're something and they're not. So what would that language be? It's a concept. I want you to speak compassion in your life. Only compassion. Every time you open your mouth, I want you to think compassionately. There's a new beginning going on with you. And this is the compassionate language we want all in this room to know about. In the time we've had together, that we have sowed some seeds and given some information and even had some fun. I want you to know this in closing and in passing. That's critical. You cannot have the love of God and compassion in your heart. That's critical. You cannot have the love of God and compassion in your heart and walk around depressed. When you walk out of the building and you see the majesty of Gaia, it yells at you that you are part of the system and it is honoring you. Like you look at the trees, it looks at you and says, welcome back. Now let's make a difference together. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I say this often, I know where I am. The voice is the same. but my partner is not here. He stepped aside and his filters have been removed to clear away a path for communication that's beautiful. And he's not unique. For the path that he has cleared exists in every single human being. Did you hear that? Every single human being. The connection to that which is spirit through the higher self is guaranteed to any human who wants to find it. Free choice is needed with every human. The free choice to believe there's a creator, the free choice to think that you can contact the creator, the free choice to believe those who say you can't, the free choice to say it's through somebody else, maybe, if you were good. Free choice is necessary to clear a filter and connect and say, I see you, I feel you, I know you. For every single human being has God inside at some level. Every one of you. There's the phrase you've heard, created equal, and you look around and you say, we're not equal. Hardly. You say, we're all completely and uniquely different. How could we be created equal? And this is a metaphor for God inside. Every single human on the planet has the spiritual seed of the Creator inside them. And they can use it or not, they can awaken to it or not, they can be aware of it or not. But I'm talking to old souls. You are aware of it. At some level, you're aware of it or you wouldn't be here. The ones who listen to this, at some level, you're aware of it or you wouldn't be listening. So I know who you are. And that means that you know who I am. Or do you? Is it possible, and we say again and again, is it possible that what you are experiencing and hearing at this moment is not my partner? He is using the English language because that's what he knows, the intellect of the human being, because that's what he has. We're using everything that he has through his life and his history in order to talk through him to you in a succinct way. And I want you to notice how Spirit talks to humans. It's through humans. It's always been through humans. We said it before, that which is the Word of God, whatever that means to you, in whatever scripture you have, is humans. It's not handwriting on the wall. It's channeling. And so we invite you to change a perception, if you need to, about what this might be. Is it possible, really, that this is real? That Spirit is actually here in the room in a way that you can hear it. As we say, we are family. We know who you are. We know what you've been through. We have been all through it with you. We know why you're here. We know the ones who sit here are in trouble. We know who you are. We know why you've come. And all of these things is a benevolent knowing. And that is to say, we congratulate you for sitting in the chair, for being interested enough in you to sit here. I have messages beyond messages for you. I have unique ones, if you listen, for each of you. For some of the things that you are facing in this day, in this age, I need to reassure you some things about them so there would be no fear. A little later today, I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk a little about the hurdles and what you've been through and what you're facing and some of the things you want to hear, because it's important that you know what is going on right now. I want you to know that you are not a mystery to God. You sit in isolation, don't you? You think you do, you don't. You haven't told anybody some of the secrets, or very few, about how you're feeling or what you're worried about or what you're afraid of. And we know it all as we hold your hand. We know it all. It's going to take more than just listening to a channel for you to understand this is real. You're going to have to take our hand, cognize, believe that it's possible, that there is a caring God who is part of you, that there is a system that is beyond what you think, that is benevolent, who knows what's going on this planet, knows you. You're in the right place at the right time. Dear ones, listen to me. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are right now. It's not important. Your soul is ancient. It is filled with experience. And it's forever. You know you're coming back, don't you? You don't want to, but you know. And there's a reason. You won't miss the finale. You are ancient ones. Can I call you ancient ones? You are filled with the experience of the earth. Some of you, right from the beginning. You come to this place and this stage and you're tired, and we know that too. You look around and you wonder what it's all about. We're going to tell you that. You feel alone and isolated. We're going to tell you about that. You wonder what's next. I'd like to fill your heart with what's next, so you can relax and breathe easy, softly, and say, oh, that's good. To know that things are clearing. But more than that, you're going to enjoy and reap the benefits of the work you've done. And it's going to be in generations. Light worker, you're not done. And when you come back, you're going to have a different countenance and a wisdom you don't have now, and you're not going to make the same mistakes you made before. This is guaranteed. This is a new energy. Even the reincarnation system itself is changing. And that is controversial. The things that you say will never change because God is God and will be God forever and never changes. I want to tell you something. You change. And the system around you changes. And your relationship to the planet, the grids, and God changes. Because of this energy you have allowed to be created. All is changing. Healer, you know it. I know who's here. I know who's listening. You think you've lost some of your powers? That's ridiculous. Tune into the new station. Align with a new vibration and watch your healing ability double. But you're going to have to recalibrate. And stop for a while, perhaps. Get your new bearings. Get out the spiritual compass. And you'll see what I mean. I know who's here. There are those who are here who are still wondering, could this be real? I am not going to show you anything that's going to prove this one way or another, but there is love here. There is compassion here. Our hand is out to you, and you can either discern it or not. But we say, how can you not discern love when you've come to a place where you expected it? I know who's here. I want you to drop the shield momentarily of what stops you from loving. And just for a moment or two, see what you're missing. Because there's a validation for some right here, right now, that says, oh my, this is real. You could feel it. I don't want you to tune into Kryon. I want you to tune into you. The higher self, peace of God. Then you'll know what I am and what I feel and what's going on. And that's just the beginning. And so it is.